Welcome back. I'm talking to Liz DeFiore and Stephen Sinclair about making movies. And Stephen and Liz have just arrived on the island. They've just been here. I think you arrived Thursday after evening, is that right?
Yeah, yesterday, late afternoon, yeah.
Okay, good. Then it's all fresh, so I'm not going to expect to actually know the island, but I'd love to still know from a writer's perspective, if you're looking to find inspiration for movies, on an island like this, what kind of things could you expect to find?
Yeah. Well, first up, I've actually been here before, so it's not entirely new to me. But I've all my life I've been going to Coromandel. We've always had a family batch down in Coromandel, and so I certainly drew inspiration from the sort of the bush and the islands around Coro, and this place is obviously very similar in its terrain and so forth. So I find some of that's incredibly stimulating, creatively. And the sort of ideas that spring to mind are ones of maybe exploring like an idea, like a historical idea. I've always had an interest in history and taha Māori, so there's I think there's incredible opportunities there. I love fishing. I love the whole culture of the sea, and you could really have there's great potential, I think, in stories about fishing, poaching, resources, and as in Russian Snark, we had a character exploring the sort of visually the relationship between man and natural environment. I think a place like Barrier has incredible potential there too, just to in terms of just visual sort of contrasts and so forth. So I think the potential creatively is huge. It's just a question of the practical considerations of how to go about it.
So once I go out there and watch the sunset, and I've got this amazing idea for a story that's never been told, what's the next step? Translating to the script, and how would I go about that?
Yeah, you have to write the script or find someone to write it for you. And script writing is a skill that takes for most of us a long time to get on top of. The script is the script in itself can take years. I don't want to sound too discouraging. And one of the great things about Russian Snark was how quickly it sort of came together, and that was partly just because I knew it was going to happen, and so I was incredibly focused and worked very hard, and didn't have time for the sort of long breaks that you normally have between drafts of a script. But in terms of practicalities, perhaps I'll pass the mic over to Liz to talk about that whole side of filmmaking.
So Liz, tell us a bit about once you've got the idea and the outline of a script at least, what else do you need to find then to start put the project into motion?
Okay, well look, if I was here on Barrier and I was going to make a project here, which you never know, what I'd be first looking for, I guess, would be somewhere that we could use as a home base. Primarily we are internet and computer based in the early stages, and so you're looking at basically somewhere with a reasonable amount of power and ability for communication. So in practical terms, cell phone connection and internet, because really what you're doing is pulling together the various elements. The elements are, as I mentioned earlier, your key team, so someone to shoot the film, someone who knows something about lighting, which could be your DOP, it could be a separate person. You could have an operator and somebody else look after the lighting. Somebody with potentially, and I'm, like a bit of an engineering background or somebody who'd done some grip work. And basically what grips do is they do everything to do with camera movement. Every time there's a dolly, a track, or a crane shot, or a camera on a car, or any of those things, that's all in camera safety, a camera that drops off a cliff, or any of that kind of stuff. That's all grip work. So somebody who could look after something along the lines of camera movement to make your film more interesting. You would need art department, and I'm sure there are many people over here who got a background in art department. One of the things which that involved is the ability to draw and think about how sets could potentially look, to augment what's actually there. So you would have either the art department or somebody looking for locations and trying to find locations which were going to be close to free, because probably you wouldn't have a big budget when you started out. So you'd be looking practically for something where you could get access for you and your team to shoot for a certain period of time on certain days, and create the look that you wanted. Your art department would also have to be cognizant of the practical side of shooting out of sequence. So that means although you try to shoot things in as much sequence as they can be to make practical sense, sometimes they're out of sequence and you shoot the end last and then, make it change back to the original way rather than the other way around. It varies quite a lot depending on your actor availability and various other factors. But you need to be prepared for that and be able to take notes about the way that was when we started. And so taking photographs as you go along is a handy way to do it, because it's very difficult to actually rewind all the time to do it. And often you don't want to go back to the original material because you don't want to risk damaging or... but obviously you do if you need to. You need to get somebody to record sound. That's quite a critical thing. You need good sound. You could have visuals that could be even quite dodgy. But for me, one of the bottom lines is that the sound is of extremely good quality, because it will save you every day if you've got decent sound. The pictures can, get a little bit sort of variable on occasion. Your focus puller may be out of focus or whatever, but you need decent sound, clean sound to work with. You need someone also who can do look after feeding the team and keeping that going, because an army marches on their stomach. So coffee, tea, breakfast, lunch, whatever it takes to keep your team going. And I'm sure there are many people here in Barrier who'd be keen as part of to participate in a project on lots of levels to kind of help out. And then look at where things may be missing that you might need to bring someone in to do specific things that, wardrobe or makeup, continuity, those sorts of things may not be here, but they might be, I don't know.
Okay, and if I can just add just a few points to what Liz has been saying. I think the great advantages that islanders here have are that the scenery is fantastic, and the kind of the cultural and historical life. I mean, that there are, I'm sure, great subject matter for a film. And I think the other great advantage probably is that there's a kind of a deep level of cooperation within the community. I think it's probably partly because of the isolation of the place and the fact that it is a small community. There has to be a fairly high level of cooperation, and that to me means you can probably rely on people to actually come and help out. And I think the key thing really though is to draw on the skills and resources that are here, and write a script, or find someone who has experience writing, either on the island or a friend or a relay or something, and write to the people that are here. I was talking to Denise at the Mulberry Primary School earlier on. Well, she's got a son who's studying at an acting school. Well, there's an example of we could write something for this guy. So suddenly you're sort of involving people with the skills that they have, and someone might know someone who can operate a camera, and just doing a kind of in a highly cooperative way like that. I think would enable a film to get made here.
Yeah, and I would say that even if you look at somebody like Peter Jackson, for example, his film Brain Dead. Was it the first? Bad Taste. Sorry, Bad Taste. Was shot over a 4-year period, and as I understand it, his mother shot a certain amount of it because he's in it. So you can shoot on weekends over a long period of time. You can shoot with working in with other people's schedules and variables, and do it as a community project. There's no reason you don't approach it that way, and learn it as you go. I mean, it's figuring out what what are those things that we need? How do we achieve that? And like Stephen was saying, use the resources that are here. There's plenty of resources here. There's incredible scenery. I mean, location-wise, it's to die for, and it should be used absolutely in more films. I think the tricky thing, somebody coming from outside would say, well, the logistics are quite difficult because they always look at it as bringing people in. But if you did look at it from sourcing everything from within the island, I actually know a number of filmmakers who, are sequenced here and there and come over at various points in time. So there would be a skill base of that. If a project was mooted, that could be drawn upon quite easily.
Liz DeFiore, Stephen Sinclair, thank you very much for coming in today and talking to us about the making of your movie, The Russian Snark, and inspiring us to go off and become involved in something similar. Thank you.
Thank you very much for having us, Rent, and good luck with your project. I want to know the name right away.
Yeah, it's been a pleasure. We're looking forward to seeing an Indigenous film coming out of the Great Barrier.